Hey, everybody.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my goodness.
Hi, everybody.
Can you hear us? Can you see us, everybody?
Can you hear us? Can you see
Mighty
us?
Murph and Monday time. You can tell because there's Power Rangers right there. Look at that.
Is a Murph phenomenal is what Renegade
Yeah, Murph phenomenal.
Murph phenomenal is pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
Was
Pretty good.
better than we could come up
We got
with.
Chris Goodlett. We got Sass Queen. We got Sarah Stewart and Terry from Play Renegade. Hi, Terry.
Holla, holla, holla. Terry says, anyone gotten their Rangers allies and started them up yet? Nick did.
This one. Boom.
Nick did right there. Nick flipped the cape.
I did. I'm breaking the rules a little bit.
The cape scheme there.
Renegade, don't fire us.
Put the red up on top. Let it be seen. Let it be known.
Yes. So technically, I will say, this red is actually here, and this part I believe is black. And I was like, no, I'm giving a big red cape. Because here's the thing about minis, you can do whatever you want. I could paint him bright pink if I
never been a
wanted to.
superhero with a big red cape.
This is my world.
That's the thing about it.
Huh?
Yeah, it's true. It's your...
This is Bob Ross. We're Bob Ross in here. This is our
Well,
world.
and with the Rangers, there's been so many iterations. That
Why not, right?
Nothing is
There's so
off
many,
limits. There's,
right?
There's like bizarro Magna Defender right there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's everything the same except for the cape. People are like, are you Magna Defender?
Are you?
Just go with it.
Just go with it.
Let's go with it.
Just go with it. Mighty Murphin time. Thank you, Chris.
That's what's up. There's, yeah, paint him however makes you happy. It's the only rule, right?
I totally agree. I'm still keeping the paint scheme the same, but nonetheless, it's like, yeah. So, what's up, Theo? We got, it's nice today. We got our Facebook and Twitch coming through our chat box. Looks like I don't know if we're still not getting YouTube or not, but it's nice we have Facebook this time too, which is great. So, last time we painted the kind of first half of these two Rangers. We're only here for 4 weeks with Renegade, so what we're doing is the first 2 weeks, so last week and then this week, we're each painting one figure. We're going to spend 2 weeks on them, or ultimately 4 hours on them, because it's two-hour sessions. So Mike's painting the Green Ranger.
Right there.
I'm painting the Magna Defender. And then next week, we're going to try and paint all the putty people in one go.
All those minions.
We're going to try and batch paint, speed paint 20 putty people all at once. We're going to try and do it all in one session.
Woo!
And then the last stream, which will be the fourth week, we're actually going to play, and we're going to try and play with as much painted stuff as possible.
Painted stuff as we can.
At this point, we'll have 4 Rangers done.
Yep, because we did 2 on
and then
our,
all
on
the
our
putty
channel.
people. So we'll have mostly painted stuff. Yeah. So nonetheless, Mikey painted up the green. I painted up the Magna Defender. I was kind of showing the stippling technique to do something like armor and talking about painting, because when we did our Renegade Society stream with Sarah, people were asking how to highlight black, and so that's why I chose the Magna Defender, because he's mostly black, and I was saying that you can highlight with really any color you want. In this case, I decided to highlight with green so that the black armor has a highlight, but still looks more or less black.
Doesn't dull it, really doesn't make it look gray.
Yeah, and then the green kind of cold armor then offsets the warm gold and then the warm red of this cloak. And today, what I'm going to be doing is the cloak. I'm probably going to spend pretty much the entire 2 hours on the cloak. That's what I'm planning on doing.
Nice.
That's nice. So what are you doing today, Mikey?
Today, okay, the things I got to do, I have got to basically do touch-ups and then the weapons, which are ornate.
Oh, I haven't done his weapon.
We've got some silver stuff, but there's like some red and a red tassel, and then actually on his little flute dagger, you'd always do. There's lots of like little details. How they get the money for that?
Yeah, they got silly money
working on that, and then like the boots and gloves where they're not green are gonna be white. So I'll be finishing that up, finishing the visor, little things like that. So it's gonna be kind of like the details for the most part, going through and just kind of making sure everything's nice and smooth. Working on that helmet a bit.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the goal for today. It's gonna be pretty.
Are you gonna wash anything? Are you gonna?
I might throw a bit of wash into this to let some of these little details.
I'll probably say throw a little bit of wash in the gold, because it'll. You might have to reapply some highlights on it, but I think it'll deepen the. What is it? Mantle? What is this? What is this called? I don't know what this is, because it's not like a. I don't want to call it a shawl, because it feels like it's more than just a shawl. But
it's
indeed. What's up, Scabby Rooster? We got Tony Shade.
Hey.
Yeah, and so I was going to do the cape in a normal way that I usually highlight, which is like highlighting with very thin layers and work on the highlights. But I think I want to try something actually different. that I want to. It may not work, and so I may give up halfway through, or if it looks terrible at the end of it, I might just redo the cape on my own. But I kind of want to try the stippling technique on the cape because the cape is fabric, and the fabric should have texture. So what I did is I took a ratty old brush that Mike and I don't really use anymore, and I cut off the whole like top 3/4 of it. So the thing is, when I'm using like a really fine tip brush like this one, I essentially have to dot each dot. But hopefully the idea with this one is I can kind of just dot above and
do an area of
effect. Yeah, and it'll be, the dots will be smaller and they'll be more randomized. Because the whole thing when you're doing texture and stuff, that you want to make it look like you're not consciously doing the texture, because humans naturally start looking for patterns, you'll start doing things in patterns, and that's not how things actually are. So it probably won't work, and I need to make that clear.
Well, and
but I'm going to try it.
You just get to explore painting, and you can learn so much from a quote-unquote failure.
Oh, you learn more from failures than you do from success.
You know, and that's how you get stuff down.
So we're going to try it, fam.
That's how you get to
we're trying
some stuff.
Hope everyone's having a good day.
So, Nick, I was using this, wasn't I?
For what?
Hashut Copper?
No, you were using Liberator Gold.
That's what it was. I just knew it wasn't that one.
It's nice dark gold, yep.
Oh, wait,
Retributor Gold. Liberator Gold's the light one.
Ooh, you're messing me up.
It's all named after specific factions, and it's confusing because neither of us really play Warhammer. So, although I am actually listening to some Warhammer books right now on Audible. So it's funny, like, we have Abaddon Black. Abaddon's like a character. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that's why that's called
Abaddon. So when you say listening to Warhammer books, are you listening to, like, narrative, like, stories within the
it's like they have a whole fiction series.
So but there's, like, so many podcasts about it as well. So, like,
so I'm listening to actual, like a fiction book. So I was like, all right.
Awesome, man.
What's up, Bromhead Tech? How you doing? I love the experimental take on fabric. Yeah, exactly. Said I'm all about trying new techniques. There are so many ways to take on fabric. I agree, and I've been trying to actively branch out. So this right here is a base coat. I base coated this on my own, so I didn't have to do it today and wait for it to dry.
Should we do some lead belcher for the weaponry, you think, or do Runefang steel?
Lead belcher and then Runefang steel, I'd say. Because I would say do lead belcher, do a black wash, then do Runefang steel.
Sorry, good.
So I did Mephiston red, which is this kind of dark red with some black in it. So I'm going to do that again, but add a little bit less black. Doing great. Can't wait to see you're all doing well. Thank you, Rumhead Tech. We are doing well, indeed.
Doing very well. Happy Monday, everybody.
Oh, and Terry said, FYI, I love myself some 40K audio dramas and book to listen to while painting. I've never really been, I don't really play 40K, and I've never really been into
one actually plays 40K.
The lore.
That is my actual belief. Because everyone's collecting, everyone's painting and building, and someday they're going to play, but no one actually has ever played. Ever. Everyone has all these aspirations.
That's kind of fair. Let's be honest, it's kind of fair. But I was watching something that was kind of about like the lore and all the different factions, and it was actually pretty interesting. And so I decided to listen to the Horus Heresy trilogy. And so far it's actually pretty darn good. So, because I'm of the belief that Space Marines are incredibly boring, but I hear that if you listen to some of the books and stuff like that, they get less boring.
How dare you?
It's heresy, I know. Oh, that is.
There says, hi, I used to be a competitive 40K player way back in the day.
Oh, is that right?
See, that's when people used to play.
I didn't know that.
Now people just build. Nick's been building. What are they?
Oh, the Tyranid army, dude. That doesn't count.
Nick's been specifically working on a color palette for Tyranids for like a decade.
Here's the thing, though. I finally figured one out. I actually worked on it 2 weekends ago. Yes, I did.
Oh,
I worked on it 2 weekends ago, and I finally... Because, here's the thing. I was like, you know what, Nick? You just got to decide and just be okay with someday you being like, I wish I'd done this one. And just be okay with that. Because I was like, You're going to spend forever not deciding. Because the thing about doing Tyranids, not to talk about 40K a bunch... But, like, a lot of 40K stuff have specific colors they're supposed to be. So if you're doing, like, Ultramarines, you need to make them blue. There's literally a color called Ultramarine blue. If you're doing Salamanders are green. Their armor is green.
Well, there are Salamanders?
They're actually Salamanders. Yeah, no, Salamanders are actually cool. They're my favorite of the Space Marine factions.
You should only ever be Salamander. You're a space newt.
Here's the thing. If I had to pick a Space Marine faction to play, I'd probably play Salamanders, actually. Yes.
Because do they just look like salamanders?
No,
with
they're
little
just
space
people.
helmets?
They're just their names are
What?
they're not. They're not newt people.
Biggest disappointment of all time. I thought they were like little,
No, that's
little
ridiculous.
space helmets.
No,
and
yeah.
nothing else.
Not actual.
Maybe space boots.
Their names are salamanders. It's the name of their faction. They're not actual salamanders.
I am devastated by this news.
But nonetheless, it's like you then have to kind of paint them that color. Whereas like Tyranids, it can be livid whatever color you want. So that kind of just like made me clutch up because I was like, oh, I don't know what color to paint them. I could never decide. But now I finally just decided.
My man.
I realize I'm really into synthwave kind of colors, which is our general color scheme, which is like pinks, purples, blues, and orange. Okay. Like, you know, here, real quick, like that's very synth-wavy. That's most of our stuff is very purples, oranges, yes. Pinks, blues. That's kind of our wheelhouse.
When I said hour, I thought you meant hour, and I was just like, what? Like, what? People?
Oh, no. We're not synthwave people, no. Just our general... Yes.
The way painters is written down there, yeah.
So I was like, you know, I know ultimately... Like, my favorite color combination... My favorite colors are purple and orange. My favorite color combination is, like, hot pink and electric blue.
Yeah.
So, like, screw it. I'm just going to make them that color. And I found a contrast paint that works really well on their bodies, which will really speed up the process.
Yeah.
And so I did that experiment a little bit. And I was like, you know what? I like this. Doing it. Boom. And then just...
Ooh.
And so now, Kenton, I still have to build them all and do all that. But nonetheless, I now at least have just decided on one. So I'm going to try a stipple.
It's got a stipple.
So essentially, this is what I'm doing. So I have this really kind of messed up, stubby brush that I just cut off, and I'm going to now stipple.
It's got to stipple it.
It's got to stipple it. And I do not know how well this is going to work. This might not work. I want to make that very clear.
Nick's just setting up so when it works, he's just like, I'm a genius.
I'm a painting god. And we're going to try. Now, again, this looks really, really red, but Citadel reds dry much, much darker than when they're wet. So this will tone down a little bit, hopefully. Or maybe it won't, and the whole thing will be ruined. We'll see.
Only time will tell.
So, again, hopefully what this does is because it's kind of random where all the stuff is going, it'll make it kind of look like cloth and make everything look like fibers and stuff.
The mini imperfections.
Because if you can probably see, because it's very zoomed in, but like on the shoulder pad and stuff, I did all the armor highlighting with stippling, which is just basically painted a bunch of dots. And what that does is it gives the armor a little bit of texture. What's up, Magna? How you doing? How's that Sleaford life? And we're going to see. And presumably, one thing about this, which will be nice, is it'll look cool, but it also is a lot faster. Because you don't have to worry about blending. Because blending is you putting the dots then on top of it. So you can see back here, this is dried, and now it's basically the same color. But with reds, Citadel reds particularly... You really gotta just trust that they're gonna dry darker. Because man, oh man, do they go on bright.
They do tend to scream when they're first on.
Just like, yeah, red!
This red is red, man! Woo! Very loud, those colors.
Very loud, the red. Anyone been playing any Rangers? I'm very excited to play it. We haven't played Rangers on stream with that, so I'm excited to
paint these things up and then play with like super cool looking.
It's gonna be the ultimate.
The ultimate, man. It's gonna be really cool, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm just kind of touching up a couple of the greeny bits first here. Realized his helmet upon finishing was a bit darker than the rest, and we kind of went with a zenithal light, so as if the light was coming from high noon, dead ahead.
I should have grabbed the. I might grab right now. I'll grab the pumpkin guy.
Oh yeah, to show an example of it. So we did it with priming to kind of get an idea of like what's going to be in shadow, what would be the brightest, and realized the helmet was kind of darker than the rest, and the helmet would in theory be right under the sun. So
that is, the top of the head
be weird if it was
technically
darker.
should be the brightest part. The back of the Defender is all black. Yeah, I know. I decided to make his cloak. I decided to switch his cloak from
Artistic
being red
license.
to black because I wanted the red to be more poppy. But yes, this is technically incorrect. But that's beauty of mini painting. You can make them whatever color you want ultimately.
Absolutes.
But yeah, this is technically incorrect, and that's okay.
You ain't wrong. I mean, so far it looks cool. Like, I'm not
Yeah, I mean, when it
seeing-
dries, it's basically not any
it
brighter.
already does look more.
Hopefully, we'll see. I mean, again, I've never done this. The first time I ever did the stapling technique for something like armor was on the front here, which again is a very subtle highlight, but nonetheless, wanted to see. And then this is the first time I've ever done stippling for something like this. The problem is it's going to be. I got to make sure I don't hit this armor because I'm going to have to redo it.
Don't do that. Definitely don't do that. I'm gonna touch it with the triangles.
I'm also trying to not get this stippling down into the deep recesses, although with a brush this splayed out, it's kind of hard not to do that. So we'll see. I may have to throw in like a wash or like a dark glaze in the end to kind of bring the recesses back to their shadowed glory. We'll see, because I literally have no idea.
It's all big exploration. Rom says, did I work on mine since last week's stream? The green dried up to look great. I didn't. I just let it dry, and it's
yeah, his stuff. He
it's
painted his very, very smooth.
Pretty good. There's a couple spots which I might kind of do just a little bit to kind of help, but yeah, no, just let it be. That helps me.
The curtain. There's nothing behind this wall. Don't worry.
You're pulling back the fabric of space, man. What in the world?
We're not on a green screen. Don't worry. We just live in space.
We live on a spaceship in Power Ranger Town. We live in Renegade Games headquarters. Based on that. Yes. So what I was talking about is that Nick was talking about. We were talking about Zenithal highlights.
Yes, indeed.
And Nick did a Zenithal Prime, where he used 3 different colors of primer: white, gray, and black. And basically, depending on, if we imagine a tiny little sun right there above Pumpkin Man head, he would spray basically white only from the very top. So the very things that are most facing the sun will get the white highlights. And then at a 45-degree angle, hit everything with gray, which would be something that would get, definitely a good amount of light, but not as much as directly overhead. And then everything from basically underneath would get sprayed black because that would be in shadow. It'd be, the bottom of the arm would be shadowed because the top of the arm is there. So if you do this and you can kind of take some pictures of it, you can get a good idea when you're painting. If you're going to do highlights and blending and stuff, you can get an idea of how to sort of go with the gradient there, because this would be very bright, pretty bright, sort of brightish, bright, darker, and then all the way to parts that will remain a much darker color of green or whatever color you're going for. And so he did that with this, because I'm going to paint this on my lonesomes because he's real cool.
Hey, real cool.
Yeah,
So it's a good way. A lot of people say, I don't know where to put highlights and shadows. Well, if you Zenithal Prime and then take pictures of it, as Mikey said, you then will have a guide,
a nice reference to
of where to put stuff, exactly, which is very useful.
Exactly.
And eventually you'll get to the point where you probably don't need it, because you'll just kind of then understand where stuff tends to go and stuff. But especially in the beginning, or especially if you're working like a very complex model, or if you're painting, which won't happen with this game, but can happen with some other games, or if you ever start playing like Warhammer, a lot of people paint in subassembly because you have to build the models yourself. So what they'll do is they'll paint them not built. And then once they're done painting, they'll put them together. What you can do is use like green stuff or like just sticky tack, put it together, prime it, then take it apart. Because if you're just working like on like an arm from here to here, kind of like, wait, if the arm is it this way or is it this way? Is it this way? But if you have that prime on there or something like that, you can really figure out where all those highlights and shadows and stuff will be. Because we paint in subassembly, which I generally don't, because I tend to get lost in terms of like, oh wait, so this would, like I did that on the big
The Dragon Dog.
The Dragon Dog thing where I spent like hours painting the back of this big Dracoth Dragon Dog thing, only to find out once I put the rest of it together that entire thing is covered by Lord Celison's cloak, and I literally could have left it black and no one would have known. And yet I spent so long highlighting it and all stuff.
You know it's painted, man.
Oh, so annoying.
You know it's so painted under there.
I would have painted it. I would not have spent arduous hours highlighting it and all this stuff if I had known. I guess I just never once realized that, and so I was very annoyed with myself.
South Queen says, played Isle of Cats and Fleet, the dice game, over the weekend and lost at both.
Fleet's hard. Fleet's great, though.
Fleet's real hard.
Yeah, anyone else play anything over this weekend?
Yeah. All right, I'm trying to think of order of operations for this dagger, because there's a lot of stuff, and it's only, I'm going to only worry so much about it, but on this dagger here, we've got black, we've got a bit of green, silver as the blade, and then the little... it's probably kind of hard to tell right here, but there's a lot of like cool texture stuff because it's kind of like a flute. Is gold, so I'm gonna use a lighter gold than I did for the mantle and all that jazz. Somehow got green on there. How did I do that? Oh well. So I'm trying to think of. I guess I'm just gonna paint it maybe black first, and then go with the. Steel around the edge, and then the gold, and probably the teensy bit of green I'm not going to worry a ton about. But if I can get it in there as well, groovy-licious.
Where is it? Oh, yeah,
just
I see.
Ever so slight.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with black first. We'll
as
give it some nice
Romhead Tech
coverage.
said, you could paint it all black, dry brush some gold, and then work around that.
Exactly.
That's actually probably the best way to do it.
Yeah,
black and then dry brush gold,
Yep.
Because he has to try to use and it'll always pick out the high spots. Because here's the thing, if you accidentally hit the inner parts with some gold, throw a black wash in there and it'll cover it up.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
You right, y'all. Appreciate your guidance, everybody. Teaching me up.
And if you're with us for the first time, hi, we're the Brothers Murph, first of all. Second of all, Mikey has painted, I've been painting for a couple of years now, and Mikey has painted for a couple of months now. Yes.
A couple of months at this point.
So if you have any tips you want to throw out to either of us, please feel free. We are not anywhere near experts. So
definitely the noob, so I appreciate those suggestions. You had the technical terms. I was like, I think I'll go like black with some other stuff. You're like, yeah, dry brush. I'm like, yeah, that's the that's the technical term.
That's the word that I was gonna say.
I was gonna make the paint dry, and then brush it off.
And then
what do I call it?
What do we call that? Dry brushing.
Yes.
Those words.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh, it says, I'm no expert at all, been painting as long as you have. Oh, hey! Well, let's get this thing together. Let's go.
Let's do it.
We're learning at the same time. If I learn something, I'll pass it on to you. And if you learn something, you pass it on to me. And together, we'll make one great painter.
This is going all right. I'm kind of digging that. It does definitely have a less clean look, but I actually do enjoy the texture.
Let me see. Oh, yeah.
So you can see, yeah.
That plays.
Yeah, that plays. That plays.
Love that. All right. So like I said, I'm just gonna kind of like I'm gonna try to not hit the gloves much, because that's gonna have to paint white. The opposite. So I don't want to have to do 10 different layers. So I'll try to avoid that. But otherwise, I'm just gonna kind of have that.
Terry, what you been painting lately?
Yeah.
What's everyone been painting lately? If everyone's out there has been painting,
everyone's into it. Yeah. What's been the jam?
What's been the happy hap?
Besides this, what and you were working on some Tyranid stuff. Like, what's been? Is there? Well, actually, you recently made some purchases. So, what do you tell me? What's the next evolution in your hobby, Nick? Of all this painting you're doing?
I don't know. What's up, Crookie? How you doing?
Last I heard, you're going to Bust City.
I am. I just ordered a bunch. Not a bunch. I've ordered 4 busts. There are bust painting is a thing, which I found out about a year ago.
Do you know how many more that is than I bought?
How many
in my life?
How many?
It's 4 times as much. I've not bought any.
I've bought 0 busts.
Sorry for the weird angle.
What am I even doing with
under the sword here?
Yes. So there's a lot of people, especially in board gaming, paint because they want their games painted. But there's a lot of people out there who paint just for painting's sake, and they paint display minis that they do big elaborate bases for and all this kind of stuff, and then they just put them in a display case. It's just an art form like any other art form.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people who do that, and I've been getting more and more and more into that because weirdly enough, despite the fact that I've been painting for a number of years, I honestly don't really care if my games are painted. Like, I like painting them, but like if they're not, it doesn't really bother me. And I've been getting
not a deal breaker.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. So like, I've been enjoying painting kind of just for painting's sake. More and more and more, and so I've been doing that and been getting more and more into it, and then as I've gotten kind of more into just painting for display rather than for games, I've been getting more into stuff that's really, really not related to games at all. Because like if I paint like a Warhammer mini, I then also could play with that mini, but there's a lot of minis out there that aren't for a game. They're just cool miniatures.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
Neat.
A lot of them are for like D&D. You can use them for D&D, but a lot of them aren't even for that. They're just like literally like normal people. They're just minis and stuff like that. But then the busts, doing like little busts, are about like this big, about the same size as like this guy, maybe a little bit bigger. Right. And it'll be just like, you know, rib cage up, or sometimes literally just like shoulders up, or sometimes even just like a head. And people paint them, and those are really just for display because you can't play with just a bust of something, like, you know, some historical.
If you were playing like a Haunted Mansion board game.
Yeah, or like, Museum has little busts as like players. So like that'd be fun to do. That'd be cool. But nonetheless,
that's just an art piece.
But yeah, so I've shown Mike a bunch of them, and some of them are just so incredible. Dude, so I bought a couple busts because I really, really want to get into bust painting.
So what'd you get?
I got 4. I got a dwarf bust that's like kind of like shoulder up. It doesn't have any arms, but and he's just kind of dwarfy. I wanted, because dwarfs tend to have really craggy skin, and I've been working on skin textures and skin color a lot. And then I bought a kind of like here, like really here, and then up of like an orc bust, and that way I can practice doing like green skin or like orange skin, because orcs can be really any color. And then I got this female pirate. She's super cool looking, but she's not like overly sexualizing. A lot of pirates are, especially female pirates. Yeah. But she's kind of like a Catherine. She's got this big cool pirate hat on, and she's holding a ship like this. And she got a little ship on the thing. And it's really, really cool. And the last one is that's really cool. It's this really cool bust that I've seen someone paint incredibly, and that's really why I wanted it. I can't remember what the bust is actually called, but it's this woman. She's like holding a gun. And she's just kind of like a normal person, and she's got like this kind of like Ariana Grande ponytail, but then like her left arm and then a bit of like down here on her stomach is like cybernetics. It's like she's got like a cyborg arm. Cool. And so I was like, oh, that'll be kind of cool to try and paint, because it's like a normal person, but then there's also like cyber. I was like, oh, that'll be really fun. Though that one will probably be a while down the road. But I found there's this website that was having a sale on bust, so I was just like, well, I'm just gonna buy a bunch of them now. So yeah, I'm getting into bust painting, and it's getting real bad.
Crook says we need a Gandalf bust.
Dude, I'll paint a Gandalf bust. There's a really cool
Gandalf bust, man. Make it super cool.
There's a really cool. I don't know if it's specifically supposed to be Bilbo, but it's definitely like Bilbo. Okay. That's really cool. There's a couple people painted really, really, really awesome. All right, so now we're going a little brighter. So now I'm not going to go quite so
visor real quick
in the details. So yeah, so I made some purchases, and if you are interested in someone who's incredibly good at busts, look up on Instagram or Facebook or Putty and Paint, which is like a miniature painter's site where they can just put up their minis. A gentleman named Dave Colwell. He's an Australian painter, and his stuff is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable, especially his bust painting. He's my favorite painter, and oh my gosh, his work is absolutely incredible, and his bust work it blows my freaking mind. Yeah, Dave Colwell's the best.
Said it.
So yeah.
Meant it.
I'm painting the Shattered Grid expansion for Power Rangers, looking into getting some of the Fallout Wasteland Warfare just to paint them. I don't even care about playing the game. I hear you. That's how you know you're really starting to like painting, where you're just like, man, I just want to paint this. I don't really care about playing it.
If that happens, cool. But
like if I do play it, tight. If I don't, whatever. I'll have cool minis.
That's valid.
Yeah, I mean it's a totally valid thing. It's just another hobby, you know. It just happens to be kind of adjacent to our other hobby.
Very much so.
Which is very cool that there's this kind of whole separate hobby that is like, kind of like a, you know, it's like a sister hobby, really. It's just like, oh, it's just in the same kind of family. Just slightly different.
Mm-hmm. Blam. Okay. Didn't ruin everything with the visor. I was just terrified.
Yeah, dude. I hear you, man.
I was terrified. I still got to go in and do even more detailed stuff. I got to hit. I'm probably just gonna do white. Or no, maybe different. Silver. The little teefers.
Oh yeah, the little...
Green Ranger has a super cool helmet.
Oh yeah,
they all have cool helmets.
They all have
cool
cool
helmets.
helmets.
It's like little teeth around the visor. I thought was rad.
Yeah.
But okay, question for you, man.
Yeah,
Big
man.
time question, Nick. I'm not going to lie to you. You've mentioned the term dry brushing several times.
Have we ever dry brushed?
I've always been like,
Oh, next week,
I've
Mikey,
always-
we're gonna drive. You're gonna get real good at dry brushing next
cool,
week.
bro. It was a good time practice because I'm always like, yeah, that's awesome, man. In my head, I'm like, I don't know what that means, other than get the brush probably pretty dry, but then also have somehow it has paint on it.
Yes. Okay. So dry brushing. Let me finish up this coat right here, and then we'll get into dry brushing for Mikey.
Because I need a dry brush today. Right there. Get some
Yeah.
color on there, and then get some silver on the edge. That part, that's not a problem. But yeah,
I'll tell you right now, this is a lot faster. If nothing else,
it looks super.
I really
sharp.
like it. It's got kind of a cool ragged look. It's
playing
awesome.
Great, I think. Kirk says, I thought I said bus at first. I was slightly confused, but I figured maybe painting one would be cool. I'd paint a bus.
People paint buses. Have you ever been to a hobby store? People paint. I was at a hobby shop recently, and man, the amount of different battleships they had. There's like whole section of just like Japanese battleships from like World War II, and they're all just slightly different. And then all the American ones, all the German. I was just like, man, this is intense. But people freaking love it. Okay, Mikey.
Yeah.
So
model building seems really fun.
Oh yeah. So how we're gonna do, Mikey?
Yes.
Is we're gonna take a. How big of an area are you doing? It's not too big, right?
It's just like literally.
Okay, so we're not gonna use that brush. We're gonna use
done with that brush. This brush is dead to me.
this brush.
Cape looks fantastic.
Thank you, Romhead Tech. Okay, we're gonna use this brush.
Okay.
It's mostly just because it's small. You don't want to use a nice brush. Never, ever, ever use a nice brush for dry brushing. It's actually better if the brush is beat up. It'll look better. So you not only are you ruining a brush, you also it won't look as good. So what's going to happen is we are going to
If
take.
I'm gonna ruin a brush, I want it to be for no purpose at all.
That's fine. So what we're going to do, Mike, is you're going to take a color, put it on your thing, and then on your paper towel, you're going to wipe most of it off.
Okay.
Most of it, so a little bit like that. And then what you're going to do is you are then going to just very lightly, boom. And what that's going to do is it's slowly going to, the raised edges, which I don't have many on my hand because my hand is smooth because I got
Look who says he visits the dermatologist.
And then what's going to happen is the raised edges are going to pull off a little bit of paint every time it comes past. But because you're doing it quickly like that, it's just all the raised edges are going to get hit and nothing else is. So put out a little bit of that gold.
Look at my gold.
And you're going to take most of it off because you can always add more on. So just, you're going to put a little bit on there.
Oh, this is
You're fine. I believe in you. Yep, that's pretty good.
I want it to be like smooshy. Okay.
And then just real fast. No, faster. 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 More aggressive. See how it's doing? See how it's doing, though? See how it's doing?
Cool. Okay.
Now, generally what you want is if we had like a little... Like if you were doing something bigger, a flat brush like this brush is like perfect for it. Something like this. This is way too big for that. So what I would like to get is get a flat brush around that size that's strictly for dry brushing. But if we were doing like terrain, like if we were dry brushing the bases we built a couple weeks ago on our own channel, we would use something like this to just go ba 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 ba.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, and then you can add more, you can add less. It's kind of up to you, you know. And then if it goes too far, add a wash and you'll tone it back down. The thing with dry brushing is dry brushing tends to leave kind of a chalky look to it. Not with metallics, but if you're dry brushing. So that's one thing is like you need to kind of be aware of that because it will a lot of times leave a bit of a chalky finish.
That. I think that totally plays. Very cool.
Yeah, see, exactly. Now, boom, that gold part's...
I'm just going to hit that edge. Get it.
Pretty good, yeah. And that's how easy.
Blade on it.
Just get off most... Because these things, like, take off as much paint as you can because then you can always just keep dry brushing more and more and more. It'll keep building it up. Whereas you don't want to, like, not take off enough and go and just do a big smudge across it.
Love it.
But next week, we are going to be dry brushing for, like, 2 hours straight.
Okay, let's go.
Because we're gonna prime all of the putty people in gray.
Okay.
And that's going to be our base coat.
Yeah.
Then we're going to be dry brushing. We're probably going to have a whole bunch of different kinds of gray. And you're just going to be grabbing a brush and just, boom, a little bit of gray here, boom, a little bit of gray here. And you're going to kind of randomly grab grays because we just want variety.
Okay.
And then we're going to dry brush them, wash them all. And then that'll probably be it.
Cool.
But there's like a billion of them. So.
Okay. Assembly line. I am going to try to get some of this green right up in there. Just right that little...
Wow, you can.
Wow, just
you can also use one of those. I'm not using those brushes today, so you can use them if you want to.
Just a touch. No. I'm going to try. I'm going to go with Old Faithful here.
Old Faithful.
Do next move and eat my brush.
You must eat the brush. You must become one with the brush.
Must become one with the brush. All right. I'm going to try. Just a bit. Just like that, just a little bit. Be kind of cool looking.
Thanks, Rom Head Tech. Mikey is crushing over here.
Oh, man. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah, see? That's the thing, is like so much about mini paintings is just having a whole bunch of different techniques. You're like, oh, for this I'll use dry brushing. For this I'll use stippling with an old crappy brush. You know, it's like just having these bunch of different techniques
tools for different jobs.
Because then you can use this on this part of the mini, this and this part of the mini, and it just adds cool variety and stuff, and just makes stuff look rad.
Make stuff look rad.
Okay, so that's a little...
Alright, I'm going to do... Said Lead Belcher, then Rune Fang Steel. So you got like 15 different reds over there, man. Getting a dynamic cape going.
Oh yeah, man, I'm trying.
Succeeding, dude. I'm believing in you, man.
Thank you, bro.
Nick don't need my belief.
The belief is strong.
So we get more of this out because the other sword is much more kind of silver all over. It's got a bit of a white handle, and then there's this red bit here, and then this little ball bit there. But it's going to be more...
Everything's fine.
Everything turned out fine. More, I don't want to say straightforward, but like less variation of color and style. It's mostly just silver, and I might do some of the dry brushing through here because there's kind of some black to it to create little squiggly bits. Technical term for the weapon, Nick, is the squiggly bits.
That is accurate, Mikey.
It's for the detail. I'm going to start up here because I'm scared of the other part. Just a little brush.
Everything you need.
We'll paint for you. The other thing I gotta do silver here is the little ridges of the helmet are a nice kind of bright silver, so it'll probably just be the Runefang steel, the brighter color.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because it's gonna be right on top of the head, so it's gonna be not really a variation there. It'll just be the bright good.
All right, so now I'm gonna start adding some of this old rose, which is a Vallejo color, which is kind of like a salmon-y type color.
Give the Magna Defender salmon-colored shorts.
And just salmon color. Give it a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
So now I am going to take this. This right here looks great. You could leave it. It's fine. And also that was quick, which is really nice. Because otherwise I would take the full 2 hours to do this. But I am going to take the highlights on these parts, the really flat parts here, and I'm gonna need to do this part here. But I'm gonna do that just with a normal brush because it's a little too small of an area for me to do with this kind of old ratty brush. So I'm gonna do that, which is a normal brush. But I'm gonna take this, and what I'm gonna kind of, especially with reds, this tends to work pretty well. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it past the point I should, and then I'm going to then tone it back with glazing red ink. And so this is going to start looking bad, and I need you to trust me. It might look okay in the end. Okay?
Once again, no guarantee.
No guarantee, but I need you to trust that it might look okay in the end.
I just need you to believe that it's possible. If we do that, y'all, Nick's going to be just fine.
Whoops. What's up, Time Roller?
What's up? Whoops. I hope it's a bit more white, actually. I'm going to leave... Yeah, I'll do it silver. Because it's going to be held by a white glove, so I don't want it to all not be able to tell apart. So I'll keep that a little more silver.
So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start going into pink now. I don't want the Magna Defender to have a pink cape. I want his cape to be red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to pink, and a bright pink, and then when I glaze red over it, it's then going to turn that pink back into red, but it's not really going to darken it. So you can get those really light value reds without turning them into pink, which is a weird concept,
right.
But it does.
We talked about that, though. Yeah, like if you add white, just a red, it goes pink.
It goes pink, but you just want a really bright red, really light red, but not a pink, and that's a tough... It's a tough thing to wrap your head around, but basically, in the end, the best way to do it is with glazing, and specifically glazing, preferably with inks. And Romhead Tech, I believe, asked about ink. Said, Nick, can you explain the difference between an ink and a wash? I see Army Painter in particular has both, and I'm a bit confused on when I might prefer one or the other. Yes. So, an ink and a wash are different. They are, in a way, they're similar, but they are quite different, and one is better at certain things than the other. So a wash is very good for exactly what you use washes for darkening the recesses, for, generally shading. That's generally what washes are good at. That's generally what they're used for, and rightfully so. What an ink is, though, is generally a color, although you can use like a white ink or a black ink. The main difference with an ink is washes, an ink, inks for the most part are very, very, very transparent. Where washes are transparent, but washes will darken whatever you are putting it on. So essentially, so what you don't want to do is like do what I'm about to do now and take this all the way to like pink or even like white. You put a wash over it, it's going to darken that white down and make it much, much darker. What an ink is, the whole point of inks is that they're transparent. So you can essentially put an ink over your paint, and it'll change the color, but it won't change the hue. Remember, hue is light to dark. Color is color. So the thing is, a wash is going to change both the color and the hue, which is why washes are great, because they darken your miniature, mostly in the recesses, because they tend to pool there, which is great. It's exactly what you want. It creates shading. Inks won't really create shading for you. They will just change the color. They will a bit. If you let the wash really heavily pool in the recesses, it will darken it a bit, because like anything else, the more you have of it, the less transparent it'll be. But it won't really darken your miniature. It'll just change the color. If you put this bright red ink, which is what I'm going to use on this dude, if you use this bright red ink and you cover Mike's entire miniature over there with this ink, all of the values in terms of the hue, light to dark, will stay the same, except for now it'll be this weird brown-red color. But what's also nice is because they are transparent, you can see the coats of paint underneath it through the ink. So
it's like just putting like a filter.
This won't. Yeah, you're putting a filter. They're Instagram filters.
Oh snap!
Oh snap! Instagram.
Now we're speaking the language of the young.
So this won't change his miniature red. It'll give it a red tint, but red on top of green will just make gross brown.
Give
it to me. So that's the main thing. Is a wash is meant to darken your miniature. Inks aren't. Inks are meant to change the hue of your miniature, not change the value. I'm sorry. I said hue earlier in terms of light to dark, but that was incorrect. I'm sorry. I meant value, not hue. Hue is color. Value is light to dark. So it'll change the color of your miniature, change the hue, without changing the value. That's the general idea behind them. And they're very, very useful. Also, what I will do is...
to change the hue. What can you do?
What I'll also do is if I'm trying to make something, change the color of something on my palette here, or I'm trying to make something darker or lighter, instead of adding, like to get to this base coat of this kind of dark red, instead of adding red paint and then black paint, I'll add red paint and then black ink. The reason I'll do that is because then ink is much, much more thinner, and ink has very, very nice flow. It needs to have very, very nice flow because you need to put it in a pen or something like that. So it flows very, very well, whereas paints, depending on the paint, tend to not flow as well, especially Citadel paints tend to be very thick. So by thinning it down with an ink, you're also going to increase how well it flows off your brush, which is really, really nice. So a lot of times if I'm trying to change the color of something, if I can add ink, I will add ink because it'll also increase the flow of the paint rather than just change the color. So, as Tom said, I'll watch you use that red ink. Yeah, so I'll take this to I'll take it to a real dumb level. We'll get real stupid with
Make
this
it
one.
just perfectly obscene.
Yeah, we're gonna take this to real dumb levels today. Just so I can show that. I may take it too far to the point where I have to redo it, but that's okay. I'll redo it in my own time.
Because you're teaching us, man.
Yeah, that's kind of the point, is the whole point of our mini painting stream that we do on our own channel, which we're not doing this month because we're doing this stream with Renegade, and thank you, Renegade, for bringing us on. This is awesome.
Appreciate you.
Is kind of me trying to teach Mike, the ways.
Me and anybody else. So, as always, thank you for any questions you may have. Like, Nick is always happy to provide based on his expertise and his experiences, and I'm happy to be like, yeah, what's that mean? And learn. Boom. That's looking daggery. I'm into that. I can live with that.
Is it? Oh, it's nice. Yeah, you got that little bit of green in there. That's nice.
Yeah, just a bit. Not heighten it. Let's think. Okay, so I do this. I'm gonna go right to Runefang Steel for that. Dragon Dagger is epic. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
got the
thank you, Ron Hedgehog.
I guess
Appreciate
four
you being
colors in
here.
it. I've got that gold up in there. Got just a hair of green. Got the kind of silver edge of the blade. The bottom I kind of left like there's you probably can't really tell because it's the
underneath.
point is
The
it's
whole
very
point
much
is-
underneath, but I left it kind of black with some gold and a little bit of that.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Silver. I'm not.
Ain't
gonna
nobody
bother
holding the
green
mini be
'cause
like,
it's-
this is cool part of the mini right
You're
here.
never gonna be able to see it. And it's in shadow anyway, so you're like, yeah, the green wouldn't stand out. It's in shadow. It's dark green with no light on it.
Terry makes a good point. He said, another cheat to improve the flow of paint, particularly thinned paint, is use a tiny drop of dish soap.
What?
It breaks the surface tension of the water so it flows and settles in the creases of the miniature so it doesn't puddle in weird spots because of the water tension. That's true.
Huh.
Yeah. Or what a lot of people will do is before they put on a wash, they'll spray their miniature with gloss varnish. Because gloss varnish makes the surface very, 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 very smooth. So when you put a wash on it, it'll go down to the recesses. And it won't stick on top of the mini. Because a primer, the whole point of primer is it tends to hold on to paint pretty well. So washes work fine on it. But they work fine on paint. But if you put a gloss varnish, your washes will work way better. I'm lazy, so I never do that. Because I'm always like, it's another step I don't feel like taking. But yeah, dish soap, gloss varnish. I also use airbrush flow improver, which I use for the airbrush, but it's just a flow improver. It'll increase the drying time, so your paints will stay dry longer. And then also it increases the flow of your paint. So if I'm, a lot of times when I thin down paints.
Give me your cool guy brush.
A cool guy brush? Which one?
Give me one of them cool guy brushes. I'm not gonna use Old Faithful here. I mean, I left it that way on purpose. I gotta do some finesse work.
Finesse.
No, I'm gonna stick with my old.
No, doing the thing.
Stick with my old. I get psyched out sometimes. You know, it's like if you're standing at the edge of the diving board too long.
Oh yeah, you start freaking yourself out.
You start thinking about what you're doing.
Oh yeah, dude.
Never think, y'all. Just go.
Just do, man.
Just jump.
Just do, man. Life is all about just doing.
Alright. Let's go get this tiny little bit. This little T-furs right there. Just gonna do a little bit of this lead bezel silver. A little bit of that crimson.
Just a little bit of that crimson. Titanium white and just a little bit of that crimson. So good.
Freaking love Bob Ross. Shouts out to Bob Ross. Drop some Bob Rosses in the chat, y'all.
Can I get some happy little trees in the chat, please? All right. This is getting ridiculous. See, now the point is like this whole thing is like now the whole cape just looks pink. It doesn't even look red anymore. It just looks pink. That's the point. But we'll bring it back to red. We'll bring it back to red. Said, I love the approach of using super exaggerated highlights and then blending them down again with a coat of ink or wash. It's a really fantastic technique, especially if you're not as comfortable doing smooth blends. It's a lot more forgiving if you're less practiced placing your highlights. Exactly. That's one thing that's nice, too, is the ink will then smooth out your highlights. Not completely, but, well, actually, you could. If you glaze enough things in there, you can smooth out any line. But so it's going to smooth out your highlights and make it look smoother and cooler. It's really, that's like my go-to method now is I don't even use washes anymore, really. I just put a very dark undercoat on, highlight all the way up to a ridiculous level, and then glaze it back down a little bit, and then that's generally how I work at this point. And it works very well. I really enjoy painting in that way. All right, so we're just working up this pink. We're going to go all the way up to that old rose pink, which is going to be... So I would love to learn to use an airbrush. I didn't know you had one. I do, Crookie. I do. So glazing on fabrics is a fantastic technique. Exactly. Terry, this is why you're the best, Terry.
You know what's up.
Terry is the best.
The best. No one's ever going to keep Terry down. It's too many syllables, but it worked anyway.
We tried anyway.
We tried. Oh, that's very bright. That's probably too bright. That is too much. That's too much.
I made a mistake.
Too much of a jump. Too much of a jump.
No such thing, man. I find painting endlessly fascinating. Hearing you talk about it and stuff, and everyone talking about their experiences and techniques, that was so freaking cool.
It's wild, man. It's a whole, like you always, as it always is, you know, it's like there's a whole world that you don't even understand. You don't even know that exists. I was the same way. It's just like, I was just like, oh man, like, I started taking mini painting like seriously like a year or so ago, and all of a sudden it's just like there's all these like techniques and all this stuff, and like it's just wild, man. Like the stuff people can do, all the different ways you can do it, and it's just so cool.
Yeah. Sloppy Joe. That's okay.
Sloppy Joe.
Cheryl!
Oh, Cheryl is here, huh? Hi, buddies.
Hey.
You didn't miss the whole thing? No, we still got over an hour left.
We good.
Sloppy Joe.
That's okay. Sloppy Joe's okay. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it done. It's gonna be all right. Just gonna get the silver on there. Come back with the green. Clean her up. It's gonna work out.
That gave us fuego. Thank you, Cheryl. We are gonna show some glazing. Again, this should look ridiculous right now. Just want to let you know. It should look bad. And it does.
You don't say that.
While that pink there is drying, I'm going to kind of work in some of the red into these dark spots, which are a little too dark for my liking. Especially, again, compared to the really... Originally, I wasn't going to take the highlights quite this bright, but we wanted to demonstrate some glazing, so we're doing it. It's going to be great. Sloppy Joe.
Welcome to Sloppy Joe Town. Population me.
I had so much fun. Renegade Combat isn't the closing ceremony over. Oh, it was I'm guessing the title wasn't changed.
Oh, whoops. I do believe it is over.
Oh, this is the start right here. This stream. This specific stream is the start of it. Forgot to tell y'all.
We gave Desiree the day off since she did all the things at Renegade Con.
Oh, yeah.
She needs rest. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Desiree is
She's doing
an
a lot.
absolute beast. Beast.
Yeah.
She's great.
Super cool. Keep stuff.
It's looking
easy.
great, Mikey.
Yeah, it's coming along.
That's
I'm gonna
so
have to go
cool.
and clean it up with the green, but that'll be.
What I would
that's
suggest
fine.
now, while you're kind of doing the detail stuff, is you're going to throw a wash in the gold. Do it now.
Okay.
That way it has time to dry.
Yep. Ripper merch.
Ripper merch. She's usually the awesome manager streams like this. Yeah, she's rad.
Just gotta touch up this one little bit of green that I painted on my mantle. Right there. It's right there, ruining everything. But just gonna take the teensiest little bit right there. Boop. Got him. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna give it just a couple minutes. What wash should I do on?
Probably brown, because brown is a warm wash. So you like agro shade. It'll darken down the gold. You'll probably have to reapply your Retributor gold on the raised parts, but the brown will look nice on.
Okay. Should I do on the armbandy parts and stuff, or should I mostly focus? Those don't have like a
No,
much
I wouldn't worry
texture
about
to
it too
them.
much.
They're just
Yeah,
kinda
I mean,
rings and things.
Technically, yeah, I mean, they would have a bit of shading, but it's like it's not anywhere near something you have to do.
Cheryl says, I'm really going to miss having such great access to your daytime streams when I go back to the office next month. Well, we will absolutely miss you as well. I'm glad you'll get to go back to work at work.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's something you're excited for. Understandable if you're hesitant.
You're like,
yeah, you will be missed on this end just as much.
oh yeah,
as
Ron's
you will
the
miss
best.
us. Oh my gosh. Goodness gracious. Okay. So I'm going to do some
We're getting there.
agrax.
We're getting there, fam. We're getting there. So,
Let's get some added oomph on this here mantle.
just gonna add 2, maybe 3 more layers. Just gotten so used to Cheryl. That's your name, Cheryl.
Going to, hey, Cheryl. She's like, who are you talking to? Like,
That's not my name. My name is
see, Nick,
Cheryl.
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm looking at that. It looks pretty ridiculous.
It looks
It
ridiculous.
looks cool, actually, but it
Oh,
looks...
it's real ridiculous. It's also very sloppy because I've just been stippling on. Like, I'll probably go through with like the my original base coat or some darker reds and with the finer brushes and like make sure that the folds are actually how they're supposed to be. This is kind of, think of it like a sketch, I guess is the best way of putting it. But I do like the texture, and I think when I glaze it back down and it really brings all the colors together, I think it'll look hopefully okay. We'll see.
Hopefully it won't look mega trash.
Mega trash.
Ideally. It will look acceptable. So I'm just getting this going on here. Pooling into those deep grooves as you would expect. I'm not going to try to leave a ton up in there though, because that'd be weird.
Yeah. And generally don't want it to pool.
I'm going to keep kind of pulling it out of there. Let it stay in just enough. It has done exactly what I was hoping for this diamond bit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also what's nice.
If I get back
yeah.
there, you can
see already how much
those
better that looks.
edges,
Yeah.
And there's like these little dots as well, which is absolutely where I do want the wash to be. I'm actually not hating this at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be nice. It just gives it that depth that it needs.
That's a slight.
Yeah.
Ever so slight.
That looks bad.
You notice we're all washing this thing on up. Wash. The puppers are quite good.
Oh, they're great.
Being just, their sweet, amazing selves. Yeah, we had kind of an eventful week last week. Ultimately turned out as fine. We thought Mary had some neurological stuff going on. Instead, she ingested something dropped by a neighbor and made her quite odd for some time, we'll say.
So funny, dude. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's funny. That's hilarious.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Other than that, the pups are good. We're working on taking them out to... We spent some time on Saturday at the park and went hiking with them, but we spent a good portion of time because it's a very dog-friendly park, so there are lots of dogs. And we spent some time just hanging out and teaching them that, like, hey, sometimes there's going to be dogs around, and you just got to chill out.
You got to not be freaking out, man.
We can love dogs. Believe me, we all love dogs. But we just got to be cool about it. Be real cool. Taught them how to be aloof.
Yeah, be
so we're working on that right now so that they don't
They just get very excited.
absolutely flip with happiness. Don't want to stunt their excitement.
No.
Do want to stunt their literally so excited on the end of their leash that they're choking themselves. That's all. That old thing. Okay. I'm the king of just straight missing parts of stuff. Just like, oh yeah, this.
Oh, dude, you ain't the king, man. We all the king of that. All right.
How did we do that?
I don't know, dude.
I painted
such blatant parts too. You're just like, how did I miss this?
Around it, and then just like, nah, not that part though. Full speeder, nothing. That's right. That's the pup's motto. All day, every day. Wake up, let's go. They're wonderful. I love them. They're either that or they're like, let's go nap.
Yeah.
Sleep time, please.
Sleeping time
is here.
Okay, this looks questionable.
Tassel Town. Oh. Sorry, I just got a little nostalgic for Christmas, you understand?
I do understand, Mikey.
Days have been long, y'all. You feeling that out there?
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, long, long days. I am probably going. Well, let's see how this darkens actually as it dries. Because this is one thing they said with red. I'm like, that is.
Yeah, it'll darken a lot. It darkens. Reds darken a lot.
Incredibly bright. I mean, it's a little red tassel. It doesn't have to be dark. But I was like, yo, that's pretty.
That is
up
red.
there, man.
All right. So I got all the way up to the Old Rose.
Old Rose paint.
And I'm going to
You did.
add a teeny bit of white to it.
Okay.
And do one last highlight. Then we're going to let it dry for a bit. And then we're going to start glazing. See what happens.
I'm so excited to see where this goes.
I'm so worried it's just not going to work. I didn't like talking it up too much. But like, wait for the transformation. And then it does not happen. Everyone's like, cool transformation.
Still waiting. Still waiting.
Transformation's awesome,
You
dude.
just see your whole glaze just go.
All right, while that last bit there is drying, I'm going to actually put some paint on the front here, which has not gotten any paint because I'm just terrified of smacking the pauldrons.
The pauldrons on the meow.
The pauldrons is the amel.
Oh meow. Alright. Now, let's see if I can clean up this helmet a little bit while the wash does its deal. I might just be into that. We'll see. Just gonna try to clean up these lines. Now, I don't know about y'all. When I do this, I don't breathe.
No, dude. Breathing is not allowed. During those mucho stressful parts. Just be like... By the end of it, you're always just like gasping for air because I've been not breathing for...
Don't forget to breathe, folks. It's all jokes aside.
Don't forget to breathe. It is sometimes difficult to remind yourself that, but don't forget to breathe. I said, Red Ink is magic. It'll be amazing and dramatic. It will. That's the hope.
Watch it happen, though. I think most great magicians, they at some point or other make you think that they're not going to accomplish it.
Oh, that's the whole the dramatic.
All
Dude.
part of the game. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Well, I gotta do silver in the little mouth part. That's what I'm missing.
Alrighty. So I'm gonna do one last highlight on these very upraised portions back here, and then we're gonna try.
Try. Alright. I am very excited to see this. I meant that in a supportive way, not like, oh, I'm excited to see this.
I'm about excited to see this train wreck.
I'm gonna get popcorn for this one. I believe you, man. Okay. I'm gonna do the little mouth bit there, which I've just kind of painted with green and whatever else. It's too much brush. It's too much paint. Oh, that road.
All right. Okay. Now, the main thing about glazing is you're not going to do it in one coat. You need to thin down the glaze.
What's an average?
20? No, not 20. Well, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on how...
Nick be glazing. He likes to glaze it slow.
I glaze it slow. If I'm
Because you
doing
get
like
more
a
control.
display mini, yeah, I'll probably do like 20 coats.
But with that comes incredible control.
Yes, and that's the whole point, right? It's like, it's that you have complete control over what you're doing. So it's not going to be one coat. You don't want to, you need to thin this down. You don't want straight ink on there. It will still be transparent, but this is, think about ink, which is also very, very nice, is ink has a ton of pigment in it. I mean, a ton of pigment. They are very, 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 very highly saturated mediums. Really, really, like way, way more pigment and color than your normal paint. Way, way more. So you have to thin them down pretty significantly, or else it will just go, the whole thing just bright, screaming red, which we might want, but you probably want to build up to that, not just go straight to that color. So I have my little palette I usually use for washes here, which because they have little wells. I'm going to put some ink, and I'm basically going to add a ton of water to it to thin it down quite a bit. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to use medium instead.
Medium?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, instead of water?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just because water can sometimes take away some of the vibrancy, and ultimately it's fine. I just remembered that I had this over here. I'm still gonna add a little bit of water because I want a little thinner than that.
Will medium thin it as well?
Yes, yes.
Cool.
And I think, I mean, don't quote me. I'm not a chemist or anything like that, but I believe that using a medium helps keep the bits of pigment molecules together, whereas water, they're still in there, but they can like gather and it'll keep it more even generally.
Even Steven.
Yeah, that's what
Copy that.
I've been told at least.
Loving it.
All right, we're gonna start glazing. So a glaze, it works kind of like a wash. You're just gonna put it all over the mini, and that's about it. There's nothing else to it. It's kind of everywhere. Again, you can you don't want it to pool, just like a wash. And what this is going to do, again, presumably, is change the color, mostly of this pink, back to red, or at least a very less white pink. So it'll keep the value, so it'll still be a lot lighter, but it will change the color to something we actually want.
So, yeah, so you can, like you said, you can just sort of go wherever with that and it's all over the place?
Yeah.
Or how, like, what are you avoiding here, if anything?
Anything that's not the cape. That's it. Because the thing is, because it's transparent, you can have it pool in the recesses because it'll still show the dark underneath. You can have it, you don't have to be that careful with it. And the whole point of it is that it's very thin. And that way, like, if you put a little too much on, you let it pool, it's not going to make a massive, massive difference.
Yeah.
It's going to then...
Just like, all right, well.
Yep, this is where we live now.
Inktown, USA.
And this will turn everything red. So it'll turn your... I mean, you can't really turn black into red, but it's like... Again, it'll take your...
It'll color and affect.
Your darks and make them red darks. It'll take your lights and make them red lights. And it's just... There are people who paint entire miniatures in black and white. Just in black, whites, and grays. And that's it. That's all they paint in. just to make sure all their shadows and their values are perfect, and then they do all of their coloring with glazing.
That is gnarly.
Yeah.
How?
And they're real good at it, too.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so that's the first layer. You can see, didn't really change much. It is a little bit more red, but not too much. And we're going to wait for that to dry. Ink tends to dry relatively quickly, so it probably won't take too long. But this is probably what I'm going to be doing for the next, 45 minutes, is just a bunch of layers of this. And the good thing is, the whole point, reason why you thin it out that much is because I can just keep put on layers and layers and layers and layers and layers until I'm happy. Whereas if you do thicker layers of it, you might go too far and then you are kind of screwed. There's not a way to undo a layer of glazing. You kind of got to do it all over again. So, what you working on? How are you going to do it over here? It's looking awesome.
Yeah, I'm just working on some other detail stuff. I've got that kind of
that's great.
Nice, and it's actually a little bit closer maybe to the gold on the show, which is more of a, I don't know what, type of gold. I actually really like the kind of almost gold copper look of this. I think it looks super rad, so I'm super into it. But yeah, so the wash has just kind of done its thing and just deepened the grooves a bit. Helped on the little bit of detail on the diamond, and now I'm just kind of going through, been doing different works and passes on the old visor there to get that all kind of nice with the kind of the silver bits that go whoa, mohawks, the tri-hawk there.
Yeah, awesome.
Now I'm working on the belt and stuff, and then I've got to do white for the belt, the boots, and gloves. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get it all nice and clean, man. That's kind of the goal right now. Probably going to go through...
You the sword too, I didn't realize you see the sword.
Yeah, the sword is lead belcher, so I'm going to go through with the Runefang steel and definitely hit
I'd probably put a thing of Nuln oil on it. That's the black wash.
On this one?
Yeah, just on that. And then you may not even need to
do... It might even help with,
it'll help with all the sigils and stuff like that. So you may not even need to do a highlight thing on it because it'll bring all that stuff out on its own.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
it's looking great.
It's just like literally, finishing touches, cleaning stuff up, especially on the boots and things with the triangles. I'm gonna have to get some get those to pop a bit because they're definitely sloppy Joe.
Hey man,
but
the triangles on the boots
I wasn't too worried
something that are a little tough.
Yeah.
And Terry said a really cool tip if you want to get a sense of values without painting in black and white. Take a photo of your mini with your phone and change the phone settings to black and white. You can see the values without color messing up how your eye is interpreting the paint. It's very true.
Huh.
It's a very good... I never thought about doing that on my phone. You can't. You just turn it to black and white.
This is dark.
And you can be like, oh yeah, this isn't actually... The shadows aren't actually that great because of this and this and this. This needs to be darker. This needs to be lighter because when you change to black and white, you're like, ooh, it's too similar. All right, because contrast is everything. Number one thing I tell people with minis, I'm like, you need more contrast. You need more contrast. You need more contrast.
Nuln oil, please, and then for white, was I doing white scar last?
That's the only white we have. So yeah.
Is that what I did though?
Yep.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah,
must have been.
No.
All right, so this is almost dry. So again, we need to do other layers. We can see the pink now is definitely more red, and everything there is much more red than it was a second ago, and that's kind of the point.
And then you just keep going.
Just keep going
until you're happy.
Until it's as red as I want it to be.
Super red.
Super red.
Yeah. Love that.
Pretty much.
Beauty.
I do like the stippling technique for the cloak. It was... It's not quite as refined, but it's much faster. Because this is a big cloak. I picked this because I really like the cloak. I mean, that's a... I always tell...
That's a cloak and a half.
Publishers, like, you want to make cool minis? Give them a cool cloak. Give them a cool cape or cloak, and your mini will look a lot cooler. And this is a cool cloak. So it's like, yeah. And this is something that could take hours if I was doing it my normal way. Yeah, see, that's going to bring out a lot of those details.
Love it.
Washes are great.
Washes are fantastic tools, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So I base coat, wash, even with no highlights, it'll look pretty good. Like, so much of it's like, yeah, it looks pretty good.
It'll take you a good long way, absolutely.
Looks better than a gray plastic mini. I'll tell you that right now.
Don't they all?
All right, so it's still a little bit wet, but I'm going to go ahead and put in the second layer. And this will redden it up a little bit more. And again, this will also help smooth out my very slapdash stippling work. But it was meant to be slapdash, so that's not me just knocking myself.
Slapdash by design.
Slapdash by design. New band name.
Slapdash Designs. We'll work on it for a little bit.
For a little bit, but that's it. The rest will be slapdash. Winging it.
Winging it since '08. And give a minute or two for that to kind of do its thing, dry up a hair. Then I shall continue on my wayward son. So then again, around the belt, the backside, the band part of the belt is going to be white, the boots and the gloves. And then this little bit of turtleneck right there. And once we get there, then we're going to be looking at just kind of refining a little bit. That's where, like, once I get to that point, that's about where my knowledge and understanding ends. I'm just like, well, that's all the thing I can think of, and you can probably think of, like, we can do this. That's what I'm hoping to learn as we continue. Is like, well, here's another thing. Here's a way you can deepen this. You can, make that.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Sherelle says, man, moss got to your cape, dude.
About the mothballs? Yeah.
Put a little mothball in there, just like one little mothball.
Yeah. So he's glazing. So if you got any questions or anything you want to talk about, let us know. We're both kind of in the waiting game right now.
Yeah.
So generally, like, what a lot of people do is they'll have like a little hair dryer at their hobby station, so that with paints, particularly with glazes, you go boom, you can dry it in like 10 seconds. You can put another layer on, dry it in 10 seconds. So we don't have that because we're professional streamers. We're not jeopardizing our sound with that. What are you saying?
You were talking about maybe getting that for yourself. Have you done that? Or
No. I need to find a cheap one. I just keep forgetting. Yeah.
Target.
Yeah, I want to get that. I want to get a little crappy blender so I can blend dirt.
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
Blend some dirt, blend some leaves.
Put a little protein powder there.
A little bit of grout. I finished that dude I showed off last week. The guy who I showed the corn dude. I finished him up.
Yeah.
In his base, he's run off the end of it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
Turned out all right.
Should have brought it, man. I want to see it.
I should probably show a little picture of it. Yeah, it's cool. Turned out all right.
Rune Fang Steel and Wave. Alright. It's looking good, doing its thing. I'm into that.
See if we can show on here. I don't know if we can. Alright, so he's like running off the end of that rock.
That's awesome.
So he's like, boom, hi.
Very cool, man.
Yeah, so it's fun.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Turned out alright. I'm happy with it.
Ooh, Sprawls into it. Ooh.
So you can see that pink already is not nearly as pink as it used to be. It's still pink, but it's a much more reddish pink. But you can see it didn't really make it. I mean, it's always going to make it a little bit darker. It's not like it's just like it's completely transparent, because if it has any pigment at all, it's not going to be completely transparent. But it'll be mostly transparent, and that's what matters. And so it will darken it a little bit, but that's also okay, because we took it to a highlighting degree that was probably a little too far. But then you whack it on back with a little bit of glazing.
Roman says they almost got an Aerosmith song stuck in their heads now. No, but I'm about to think of one to stick in there, because I'm down for Aerosmith being there.
Yeah, that's worst things it can be. That he's about to mess someone up. Yeah. There's another mini I want to do that's in a similar position of that guy, of kind of like running with a weapon back, and so I wanted to check and see if that kind of composition would work. with someone running off of kind of like a cliff edge or a rock like that. And it worked all right. So I was like, okay, cool. Now I'm down to move forward with the other piece that I want to do, which is it probably won't be done for a number of months, if that. But
snap, dude.
That one. I mean, I'll be very lucky if it's done in 2020. Now, granted, I'm not going to be working on it for a while, but
yeah, it is a pretty involved project. But that's just wild to be like, yeah, well, that's going to be great for next year. It's like, what?
That's how it goes, man. Got other stuff. I'm painting more Stormcast Eternal for my roommate. I just built 5 more yesterday. And I want to paint some busts. And then I'm in the middle of painting Grim Forest as well. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
What's the next thing up in the queue for Grim Forest?
The dragon. People wanted me to paint the dragon next, so that's next in the queue. I have it all primed up. I haven't decided, because dragons are also, they're kind of like tiered, as I was saying, they can really be whatever color you want.
Yeah, right.
So it's one of those things where it's just like, oh man, I gotta figure out what color to make the dragon. Because it could be like multicolored, it could be like a red dragon, a blue dragon, a green dragon. You could literally make it whatever color you want. So I don't know. I'm trying to decide. But that one's interesting because the dragon in Grim Forest is like wrapped around like a little hut. So it's interesting.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting mini to paint, honestly. And then there's a bunch of other ones in that one. Because I sculpted the rest of the bridge troll in that game. I
sculpted?
Yeah, because the bridge troll in Grim Forest, it's like, I don't know if you know the game, but like, it's this big troll and he's like underneath like a little half of a bridge. It's a really cool mini. But the problem is like the back half of the mini is just like, the bridge is like cobblestone. And so like this side is cobblestone, this side is cobblestone, but the back half of the mini is just like smooth. And it just looks really weird. It just looked very, very odd. So I took some epoxy sculpt and kept the cobblestone going around the back. It actually looks really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it's one of the things. So I sculpted that one out, but that one I'm going to paint after the dragon because people wanted me to paint the dragon next. So
Totally missed right there, man. Gonna clean that up. Whoops.
You gotta do it. Yeah, the white is doing the last things are always tough because you're like I can't touch anything because it's like anything I touch is going to then be messed up forever.
Whatever.
We'll get some of that up, actually. Think about it. Yeah, it's already there.
The color dragon, I know. I need some help. Throw some out, fam.
So do you enjoy doing that, like sculpting, and adding on to kind of the original concept?
Yeah, I haven't done it much, but I do. I thought it was fun, especially if it's like something that's doable. Like I wouldn't try to like sculpt like a head, a person, but something like that. It was really cool because it makes it look way better. To be completely honest. And yeah, I do enjoy it a lot. I've been getting more and more into like the basing aspect or doing that kind of stuff of adding stuff because again, like I've shown you that it's like there's people who do like literally nothing but it's called kit bashing where you take a bunch of different kits of stuff and just add them all together and then make these really weird, crazy conversions. And it's just like it's just really, really fun. And so I've been wanting to do more and more of that when I have excess time, which is 0 time. So got to other stuff. We've got to paint first.
How much to paint so little time?
Look at. He's got like kind of a gem thing on the front of his head. I actually don't know what that is. Is it green? Magna Defender.
To the rescue.
Oh, it's green, isn't it? Well, I'll paint that while I'm waiting. Steel.
Whew. Cheer. Sweet emotion. Sweet. Yeah, this dude on this way here at the end is...
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I should have done this a little earlier. I don't know.
If it wasn't that, then you're going to have to do something else at the very end. You're like, oh, I should have done this earlier. It's just always how it is. Says sapphire is a lovely blue.
Ooh.
Metallic, flaky, shiny colors. Ooh, that'd be kind of cool. It'd be kind of cool to do like a turquoisey, teal kind of one. But start with like a base like sapphire. That could be pretty cool. I'm down. Alright, so we're going to make it. Alrighty, got about a half hour left. Cruising, crushing.
Cruising.
Slow it down.
Slow it down.
And want to get that weird specific reference?
Yada. It's the coolest.
Rin loved the Aragon books. I never read Aragon. I've always wanted to.
I saw that first movie, and
It was
it did make
great.
me want to read the book.
Did the movie get canned horribly?
Oh yeah, they had the whole plan. They absolutely had the plan to do like the other two. That first movie tanked and said, "Never mind."
They said, nah, we cool.
Like the end of it is like a cliffhanger type.
Oh yeah.
Like the bad guy reveals his dragon. You're like, "Oh snap, he has a dragon too. Oh, what's gonna happen?" Nothing.
Nothing's gonna happen.
Not a damn thing.
Oh lordy. They did like Golden Compass. They made the first one, and then there's like, yeah, nah. These movies are terrible.
Sorry, fam, we're out.
All right, we're still just glazing away. Glazing away.
How much time have you dedicated to some? Like, what's the most time you've ever dedicated to something that just did not end up working?
With minis, not too long. I've always been able to at least pull it out to a degree where I'm like I've never started a mini completely over before. I don't think.
Okay. Yeah.
Drawings? Oh gosh, I don't know. Drawings, I've gotten basically to the very, very end and like screwed something up in the very end and had to toss an entire drawing before. So that's like 40 hours probably. But with mini painting, like, because it's paint, the good thing about paint is you can always paint over something. So if something doesn't work, like if this cloak didn't work, I could just repaint the base coat back on and then just like, you know, go, oh, we got a raid. I'm guessing that's that Loozapalooza.
Oh, get ready, man.
Oh, what's up, everybody?
What's up, folks?
Whoop, whoop. People dropping dangs in chat.
That's what's up.
Loving it.
What's up? Loozapalooza and Co.
Big
Third
Bong's in
Dave.
the house.
Third Dave Looza.
Said Dave.
Shouts out to Loozapalooza. Give some love to Loozapalooza, y'all. He don't bite hard.
Alrighty, that's the next coat.
By the way, y'all, since we are getting kind of down here to it, if anyone enjoys what we do and said, you know what, I really wish they would stream 6 times longer than normal, you can see that happen this Saturday the 13th at 8 a.m. West Coast time.
Oh, that's right.
8 p.m. West Coast time. We'll be doing a live stream.
That's right. We're doing
mini
a
marathon.
12-hour live stream on
12-hour
Saturday.
live stream Sunday the 14th. We are going to be playing games with folks on the interwebs over Tabletopia and stuff like that. And so it's Bing Bong Con this upcoming weekend. Renegade just had their virtual con.
That's right.
So it's our turn.
Yeah, it's our turn.
That's how that works.
That's how it goes.
So come on down for that, y'all. Come on down for just a rad fun time. I said it.
That's
We're
right.
gonna have fun. I said it.
Bye, Monique.
Bye, Monique. Bye, Monique.
Yeah. Beautiful paint stuff. Thank you so much, Runa. Aqua Solus looks like, what is your favorite mini from this game? I actually probably like the Magna Defender a lot. I love it because he's so, like, just stoically posed, where he's not really in a, like, he's in a much more dynamic pose, where he's just like, he's like just a very, very stoic pose, but then his cloak is like so billowy. It's like a really, really cool, like, duality between, like, him, like,
motion
this
and steadiness, yeah.
And then this is a really cool duality, and so I really like this mini a lot, which is why I'm painting it.
And I like this because
Look at that
looks really fun.
And I really like this one, which Mikey's going to paint on his own.
Yeah.
But I really like a pumpkin. It's really cool. I like this one a lot. This would be really fun to paint.
So yeah, how about y'all? What are some of your favorite minis, painted or unpainted, just in terms of the sculpts? Like, they have really cool sculpts, a lot of, like, really awesome dynamic poses from what we've seen in the game. So what's your faves out there, y'all?
Yeah.
Get after it. Plop them down in chat. Sweet. Join Rumhead Tech. I said, I'm going to get it in there. And now it is.
You can see the pink on this red cloak is now much, much less pink. So you can see this, let me see. This here was our last color, this really bright pink, which is on the high parts. And you can see it's not looking like that as much anymore. That's because we're glazing in that red, which is going to slowly change it out.
Glazing in there, red. Glazing in there, red.
Ooh, Kestrel said, I got 2 unpainted minis, but haven't got time to get any paint on them. They're superficial. The bases aren't even attached and everything. Ooh.
That's what's up.
Fun.
All right. Loving it.
So Ranger Slayer mini is really good too. Similar cape to Magna Defender, but a more dramatic pose. Yeah. A lot of them have really cool, poses. A lot of really dynamic, like, clothes and cloaks and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. The mini, and again, there's a billion of them too. The minis in this game are really, really awesome. They're really big too, so it's like kind of nice because a lot of you're not having to do like just microscopic little stuff that you have to do in some games. These ones, you know, there's a lot of stuff, you know, where it's like I appreciate like Cool Mini or Not's minis, which are like much, much smaller than these. I mean, they're essentially the size of like up to his waist or so, and that's it, if that. And they're just like so heavily detailed, which is really cool, but they're so hard to paint because they're so small and they have so much detail on them. And so, yeah, so I like these ones a lot because they're very, good ones to start on. So I painted some of my spare Mechs vs. Minions minions. Ooh, very cool. We haven't painted our Mechs vs. Minions just because there's so many to do.
There's so many.
Yeah, it's just like, ooh, there are so many. And I would like to paint the heroes, but they're already painted. And the paint job that whoever they got the paint job to do are actually really good. A lot of times, like, pre-painted minis aren't always the best, to be completely honest, because they're pre-painted minis, you know? But the ones from Mechs vs. Minions are really, really good. So, like, I'm just like, well, there's no point in me, like, stripping these and repainting them, so. Said only 100. No way. I would have to do that in like a marathon thing where I'm like, all right, I'm spending a weekend. This is all I'm doing, 8 hours a day. I'm just going to do that because I am not a fast painter in that way. That's looking good. That's looking good.
You said boot for shoot.
Castro, we're doing good. Doing good. Just been busy. Got in here, started work. We've both been working our butts off all morning. Then we, you know, stopped to this stream. The stream's been great. And then we're going back to work right afterwards. So, been good, though.
Boom. All right,
It'll
that's
be a
already
busy
looking
week.
Better. I got to definitely do another coat on the boot. But now we got some triangles down there. Ooh.
Yeah. You also awesome, Nick Mike chat. Continue having a most awesome day and good night to those who are done with the day. All right, Luza, we'll see you later. Please say hi to Ilka and Bo for us.
Dave and crew.
Them triangles, though.
Love you all.
So I never painted before those. It was fun to give it a try. Oh yeah, the Mechs vs. Minis is also a great game to try on because especially like something like that. There's so many minis where if, like you mess one up, like whatever, it makes no difference.
But one in a crowd.
But one in a crowd. Alrighty, about time for another coat. And we're slowly tinting this back down to red. A little bit sloppy there. That's all right. Can always touch stuff up. As much as we never want to. You always can.
Yeah.
Couple little boo-boos here and there. Never hurt nobody. Yeah, it'll happen. Alrighty. Continuing on.
All the stuff down there, the little splotches in the boots, I'm not even worried about it. I'm just getting these triangles clean.
That's right.
I can come in with other layers of this white. No problem. Make some clean lines to start. Bam, those are triangles. I'm into that. I'm into that. Whew. Kestrel says, might get Vallejo blue next. My unpainteds are paladins, and the army painter coverage is
I heard, yeah, I've heard not great stuff about army painter paints. We actually went out, I was at a hobby store and they had Vallejo paints for pretty cheap, so I actually got a couple. You can see them back here. Want to start collecting some. I want to start collecting a little bit of Vallejo paints because I really like them a lot. They got great coverage, a lot of colors. They're way cheaper than Citadel paints, and you get more paint. These bottles, despite the fact that they look a lot smaller, these are 17 ounces and these are 12 ounces, and they're like the hobby store that I popped into real quick. They had them for $3.99. They were $4 each. In most places, Vallejos are at least $5 or $5.50. These are usually $6. And these were $4 at that place. So I was like, oh, that's a sweet deal. So I kind of filled out
sweet steal.
Some of the color families, but we don't have a lot of yellows. We don't have a lot of reds, oranges. So I've been trying to fill those out a bit. And yeah, I really like them a lot. I used one on the Man Defender's cloak. Although you can't really tell now because now it's glazed red over it.
It's Glaze Town, USA.
So the ink is coming along nicely. How many coats do you think you're going to end up doing? I'll probably do like 2 or 3 more maybe. It's already to the point where I don't really need to do any more. I'll probably do like 1 or 2 more. But you can see at this point, like the pink... there's still a bit of pink, but it's very, very red pink, which means, which is fine. You just don't want it to be like pastel pink. And so this glazing, honestly, I could stop the glazing right here and it would be fine. And you can see it turns the cloak back to red. And that's the power of glazing. Whereas a wash wouldn't do that because it would continually darken down the cloak, which we don't want because I already put my values where I wanted them. So I got an Army Painter starter set. Not the best paint, probably, but it does the job. I did get a red primer that helps. Yeah, for sure. Again, it does the job. It's just not the best. For some reason, the motion of your camera is all blurry today. That's weird. Sometimes it gets like that. when we're moving around, especially when we're moving around this close. It is very blurry. You're right. That's weird. How many colors do we have? I don't know. A decent amount. I'll show you. So we got like, and there's Mike.
Hey.
There's Mike painting.
Huh?
So we got a decent amount. I'm not sure how many. I'd have to actually sit there and count it. And I honestly have no idea. But somewhere. But yeah, a decent amount. I've been collecting over the span of like 5 or 6 years, though. I don't buy paint very often. Because one of those pots of paint, unless it's a color we're using all the time, like black or gray or white, or maybe something like I've been painting a lot of Stormcast Eternal for my roommate. Those are all gold. So I've had to rebuy the golds because I've used them on like 40 models at this point. But for the most part, like a lot of these paints I have from when I first started collecting paint like 5 or 6 years ago. And I still have them. And as long as you keep them closed, they don't dry out. So it's like they last a long time. Yeah, so the good thing about paint, it's like, yeah, it's expensive, but like depending on, unless you're painting a ton, you won't have to buy paint very often at all. It's kind of like a one-time, like a lot of art forms, it's kind of like a one-time investment type thing. Which is nice. I'm having decent success with Aryan Painter. Their demonic yellow has been great for what I needed. Can definitely see why some folks don't like them. Yeah, it's just the coverage. Some of them have not the best coverage. They have a lot of really great colors. Just some of them don't have great coverage, and that's the thing that to me is very frustrating. Like, I am more than happy to thin my paints down to then give them not very good coverage. I don't want to have to thicken them up, I guess.
Can you do that?
Yeah, you can. You can use like mediums and stuff like that, but it's you generally want them to be too thick so you can thin them down rather than too thin. And so the Vallejo gold I have is amazing. Yeah, I want to check out their golds because I'm always looking, because I do the Stormcast Eternals. I'm always looking for more gold colors because there's just not that many. To be fair, there's only so many colors of gold you can really do. That's looking good.
Yeah, the white's gonna need a couple few layers, but that's
how it goes. It's white.
It's A-okay.
Go Power Rangers! So does that silver cloak have silver on it, or Mike's face? No, the cloak has no silver on it. The shyness you're seeing is because it's wet, because I'm putting glazes on it. But no, there's no silver. It's just pure red. See. It's nice now that we've darkened down this pink now to a red. You can see the cloak from the front and the little biddies here, which is super nice. And again, next week we're going to be hopefully trying to paint all of the putty people, all of them, all at one time. We're going to be dry brushing and washing a crazy on next week. So, all right, Wind Web Master, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Still blows me away that you painted the black green to look more black. Isn't it weird? But it works, especially now that like we have the red to bounce off of it. The green isn't nearly as green, and now I mean you can still tell it's green, but it's still, the whole thing still reads as, you know, the black Magna Defender and stuff like that. So, or at least hopefully it does. So I probably could have added some gray stippling in there to tone it down a little bit more. And especially the stippling I did today, I really, really like with this kind of beat up old brush, which is now getting more beat up, which is great. We actually want that one to get even more beat up. I could redo that, and I think I'd be able to do it even better. But yeah, it turned out all right. I'm digging it pretty hard. I like the way this one's turned out. It's weird. It's both kind of super simple and super complicated at the same time. Because I haven't really added much to it, but the stuff I added was a bit technical. But yeah, I think it's turned out pretty good. He's gonna look great on the battlefield. Mikey's has turned out great. I love Mikey's. That's awesome, dude. It looks so good.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Shouts out to Mike.
Shouts out. This guy.
All right, another layer time. We'll try and do 2 more before the stream ends, and we'll end it there because
I'm just gonna do another pass on the gloves and boots.
yeah, dude.
Then touch up some stuff, and then I think Green Ranger's pretty dang ready to rumble.
Oh, yeah. Ready to
Sure.
rumble.
Very cool. Very happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting brush cleaner through the affiliate link, so I think my next purchase will be brushes/pont.
Flash what? Oh, I was like, what? Pontoon boats?
Okay, more.
You mind a pontoon boat?
Did I not say pont?
Do we get credit for that with the affiliate link? Because that'd be cool. Whole pontoon boat, we got to get at least $5 out of that.
Rama Tech says the camera angle is making Magna Defender look like he's 7 inches tall. It's awesome.
It really does.
Yeah, 'cause
though.
you got him on the base and stuff.
He's not that big, but
it's not that small either.
no, this is a big. I mean, that's a huge mini. I mean, massive mini.
Yeah.
1% of a pontoon boat would be pretty good. I'll take it.
Let's go. Let's invest. If we all invest in 1% on a pontoon boat, we could be on the lake by July. That's what I'm saying. Let's go.
Let's get one of them fan boats like they have in the Everglades. That's what I want.
That'd be so sick.
Get
a big hovercraft like in Rumble in the Bronx. So tight.
Yeah, that cleaner is great. Castro, take care of your brushes. I am not always the best to take care of my brushes, and I need to be better. No,
don't mess up, bruv.
Don't
mess up, bruv.
I got a bit of red on that gold now.
You're never gonna see it.
I was trying to not have anything pool, because when you have something pool, it can kind of create like a ring. So with glazing, you want to make sure it doesn't pool at all.
That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Where can I find the affiliate link, and who's it for? The affiliate link was for us. It's on our YouTube page. I did a video just on what we have for painting, like our mini painting setup. Yeah. And there's some links for stuff, all the stuff that we have down the bottom, and they are affiliate links, just to be transparent. Let me add that to my budget wish list. I noticed once I painted with the gold brush, the brush got pretty gunky, so I want to clean it before I go back to flat paints. Yes, when you are painting with metallics, wash your brush out all the time.
Yeah,
like every minute or two,
stuck up in there.
It dries out really quickly, and it really gunks up your brush. Wash it out, like do like a minute, wash it out. It's like you're going to go through more paint, but it's going to save your brushes. And again, you can clean them afterwards, and it'll get rid of most of it. But it's just good practice to try and constantly wash them, basically.
Constant wash.
Alrighty. You got about 5 more minutes.
Brilliant.
Still nothing worth posting in the Discord yet? Everything's worth posting in the Discord, Castro.
Oh, yeah. Don't you dare be ashamed of what you're painting. You're making art.
Ooh, I made a lion's mane gold instead of brown for bonus majesty points. That's awesome, Castro.
Yeah.
That's rad.
That'll add some magic.
That's all majestic. A majestic beast. All right, we'll let this dry up. We'll do one more coat, and then we'll probably get out of your hair. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. This has been awesome. Thank you again, Renegade, for having us at the Renegade Painters, which is a cool name. Yeah, this has been an absolute blast again. We'll be back next week, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time or Daylight Time, whichever one we're in right now. Back here on Renegade's channel. Again, you can watch on YouTube or Twitch or on Facebook. For some reason, if you want to talk to us, the chat that we have, the overlay here, seems to only be giving us Twitch. So if you want to chat with us, or if you have been chatting with us on YouTube or Facebook, sorry we haven't answered any of those questions or anything like that. For some reason,
I
only
saw
Twitch is coming
Facebook
through.
earlier, so I think there's people around, but yeah.
Yeah, Facebook was coming in like right in the beginning, but we haven't. Maybe just no one's been talking, which is totally also a possibility. But nonetheless, next week we're gonna be back painting all the putty people. We're gonna try and paint all the minions in one go. Should be pretty wild. And so it should be cool. So we spent 2 weeks painting these, and then on the 4th week, we are going to be playing the game. Playing the whole thing with some painted minis. It should be pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Pretty excited. Let me put one last coat on this bad boy, and we'll get on out of here.
Heck yeah. Beauty.
And again, hopefully I was able to show the glazing technique and the stippling technique for both for the cloak here.
Super cool, man.
You can see how much, that's basically not even pink anymore. It's just straight up red, but it kept all the brightness and the darkness in the shadows. It keeps all of that while changing the color. In this case, tinting it back down to red.
Fascinating.
As opposed to pink.
Maple Conrad up in here.
What's
hey,
up, Conrad?
Dang, Mike, that Green Ranger looking fantastic. Thank
Right?
you. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. Look at that.
Russian over here.
I'm super happy with it.
Should be, dude.
Yeah, it's been very fun. I'm happy. I wanted to paint this, and it was very enjoyable to paint.
Yeah.
Very cool. And I like with the specific kind of gold and green we got. The colors, I'm into those.
Yeah, they're like perfect. You color matched pretty darn expertly there, sir.
Yeah, I got close, man. It's very cool. Oh, goodness. Made a boo-boo at the end.
Just gold. You're like, oh, no.
No.
Done that before. Just was moving my brush away, went bam, and just like swiped an entire half of the miniature with like bright red that's supposed to be blue, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Pardon me, folks. It's coffee time, I think.
It is coffee time.
Comrade, send them over. It'll take me so very long to paint them. I'm
You'll
sure.
get your game back
I'm sure
in
you'll get it
7
back and be like,
days.
oh, okay.
Okay.
But hey, if you're into that. It's too early for y'all to yawn. No, it's that midday. You get another cup of coffee.
I only have one cup of
and
coffee.
then
I usually have at least 7.
You go right back up. You got to cruise.
You got to cruise.
Supposed to have lunch. I haven't eaten today.
That is true. I've also
gotta have some lunch. Get some cows in. Some calzones.
Calzones in. Some
You know what I mean?
So hopefully, Romhead Tech. So now we're basically back to red, but all the shading is still there, and I couldn't have gotten this light of red through the paints I had. And so hopefully that'll show. So that's the Magna Defender. I haven't done the sword. I'll do the sword on my own because honestly, whenever I was painting the gold or whatever, I just forgot to do it. So I think I did the sword, and then his little gun thingy over here I gotta still do. But yeah, so that's the Magna Defender.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us for another awesome week. Thank you, Renegade, for having us.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We will be back live at 1 p.m. next week.
Yeah.
To do some batch painting, some batch dry brushing and washing.
Yeah.
So that we can play for our final week of this kind of semi-Murph takeover.
Yeah, and if you didn't find us too annoying, make sure to check us out on Twitch and on YouTube. Just the Brothers Murph on Twitch and YouTube.
Come on down.
And we stream multiple times a week over there. So, yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.